Park Chan-wook is a Korean director who has made many well-known and respected films, such as Oldboy, The Handmaiden, and Stoker. Park's films cover a wide range of themes, but almost always fall somewhere within the crime genre. This is why it was surprising to film buffs and critics alike when it was announced that Park Chan-wook's newest film would be a romance mystery. Decision to Leave follows Jang Hae-jun, a seasoned detective, as he investigates the suspicious death of a man on a mountaintop. When he begins looking into the life of the man's younger Chinese widow, Song So-rae, he finds himself falling for the woman, despite being unsure of her motives or of her innocence. The film is similar to a game of cat and mouse, though it is oftentimes unclear which of the two main characters is which. Because the story is rather complicated and is also a step away from the comfortability of the genre that Park was used to, he worked especially hard to get everything perfectly right without forcing gimmicks or tricks that would take away from the story. Some critics would argue that the film still does have quite a few gimmicks, but I would say that for the most part, in the making of this film, subtlety was the name of the game. Two directors that were big inspirations for this film were Alfred Hitchcock and the famed Italian director Michelangelo Antonioni. These two directors were committed to the use of details and metaphors in film, and this influence can be seen very easily in Decision to Leave, especially in the use of production design, cinematography, and lighting. When talking about pre-production with the magazine, the cinematographer Kim Ji-young said, "We prepped from August to November 2020, including 2 whole months of just storyboarding the film shot by shot and establishing ground rules for the visual language." At the end of the storyboarding process, Park Chan-wook created a book version of the storyboard, which he distributed to every member of the crew. This high level of planning could seem crazy for just a romance mystery. However, there are several scenes in the film that have been brought to life by this attention to detail. One of these scenes would be the interrogation scene near the beginning of the film. Interrogation scenes are present in a lot of crime films, and at this point, it feels like we as the audience already know what to expect. However, the director, Park Chan-wook, opted for a different perspective on things. He said, "We could have made it look like every other interrogation room, with the white wall and the fluorescent lights hanging from the ceiling. But because this is also a romance film, we had to change the lighting and the production design as well. If it's just an interaction between a detective and a suspect, you can't say that there's that much tension. But because they add that layer of seduction and romance, there's twice as much tension going on." In the scene, there is an interplay of light and dark, as we as the audience go back and forth between watching the interview from the cool, blue-tinged darkness of the monitoring booth, and then later into the warmer tones of the interrogation room as we view the characters up close. In the entire film, there is a lot of use of electronic devices and more staged lighting to light the police characters, while the more domestic characters are often lighted by lamps or natural light. When talking about his approach to lighting, Kim Ji-young said, "I tried to keep the lighting simple and avoid glamorous lamps. For most day exteriors, I didn't use any artificial sources and just controlled the ambiance of natural light via negative fill or butterflies. I used PAR HMIs only when I needed some punch." Day interiors were about simplicity too. We had many shots where the camera moves all the way from a close-up to a wide shot and then to a medium shot. During prep, I worked with the production designer to find ways of hiding LEDs on sets. One of the biggest scenes in the film where cinematography and lighting are used to tell the story in new ways is in the mountain climbing scene in the middle of the film. In this scene, Hae-jun climbs the mountain that So-rae's husband died on in order to figure out if she did in fact kill him. As Hae-jun goes through step by step of his Dezeus plan, we simultaneously see So-rae completing these steps on the day of the murder. In order to show these different timelines, like so many filmmakers, Park and Kim used different lighting setups. However, it was only by the use of VFX, color correction, and the perfect choice of certain days where the weather was quite different, they were able to create an amazing scene where we go from the warm light of Sorei's journey to freedom as it cuts in on Haejun's cold light as he realizes the horrible truth of the matter. A scene that Kim and Park had to storyboard and talk about extensively was the scene where Haejun and Sorei meet on another mountain at night. When talking about the scene, Kim Ji-young gave some key technical details. We needed to strike the right balance between telling the story and creating a specific mood. To get soft backlight, I hung 2 ARRI Sky Panel 360s on a Condor, but dimmed both down to 20%. I also had a huge softbox with ARRI Max and Astera Titan tubes on the ground. The rest was staying with the frame that we chose during prep. Later, in a different interview, the cinematographer had this to say about the scene. We wanted to deliver this fantasy, but we figured that going the conventional way of using the moonlight wouldn't suit the scene. So when they come up to the mountain, we have a very dark mountain, and it's lit by this headlamp and this lantern. Even though this is taking place in the real world, it's something we haven't seen. I feel like that last sentence exemplifies how lighting and cinematography were put to use in this film. By using mostly realistic lighting and elements to enhance the story, they were able to add a fantastical and new spin on techniques that we have seen a million times before. To me, this is what makes the film truly unmissable. There's a quote about Alfred Hitchcock's films that I feel can be applied to Park Chan-wook's films as well, but especially to Decision to Leave. A Hitchcock film is an organism, with the whole implied in every detail and every detail related to the whole.